Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Debate 2. Night 1 of Debate 2. Is it the free-for-all? And I mean that in a very funny way because they like to give free stuff away. I can't even keep up with the amount of stuff that they want to give away. I think it's 50-plus things that they're talking about spending extra and more money on and or offering the people. So tonight is going to be a little bit different. Tomorrow night, a lot of people think that you're going to see much more of a battle. I don't think so. The way that, I don't think Kamala's going to go after Biden in the same way because I think Biden's going to push back a little bit more. And, you go to the well too many times with that joke. I think people are going to be like, ah. But tonight you got Bullock, Delaney, Hickenlooper, O'Rourke, Klobuchar, Ryan, and Williamson. And then in the dead center, you got Mayor Peter Buttigieg, you got Bernie Sanders, and Elizabeth Warren. Out of this, Elizabeth and Bernie are pulling away. Buttigieg is second, and the rest of them are just absolute, complete throwaways. Marianne Williamson's there. I like how she thinks, well, I must be doing something. You know what you're doing? Republicans want to see you on stage because it is American Idol. Vote for the worst. You're Sanjaya because you're insane when it comes to politics. It's just, you think it's, and you may have some good ideas, but we can't get past the point where let's talk about, nobody gets past that. It's politics. Nobody's paying attention to that. You're just the vote for the worst. You are. So we'll see what takes place tonight. But here's something. People, I want everybody to understand, and I don't think people do. Understand this. A good portion of the Democrats are being completely ignored. A good portion of them are being absolutely ignored as they go further and further left. They're doing what Reagan said. I didn't leave the Democrat Party. They left me. This is Mike Murphy, a guy who is a big Democratic operative, worked in a ton of places inside of Michigan. He gets it. He was on with Andrea Mitchell earlier today.
And then finally, I just say, being an old Detroiter who's done a lot of Michigan politics, I ventured north to the city of Detroit, Macomb County line last night and poked around. There's a real warning for the Democrats up there. This lurch to the left with Medicare for all, decriminalizing the borders, etc., that'll give Trump a powerful, powerful weapon to take back those voters that elected him in Michigan last time.
And that's exactly where Hillary Clinton did not campaign effectively. Kristen Welker, you and I know that very well, having traveled that route.
Yeah, and she didn't campaign very well, and she lost by just a little bit.
Hillary Clinton only lost the state of Michigan to Donald Trump by 10,704 votes. So people like Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren say the way to beat the president is just to mobilize the base.
It's not that easy, and I'll tell you why. Detroit's having a little bit of a comeback. I think they're up and Michigan itself's up about 107,000 jobs. Now, a lot can change between now and election time next year, including about 25,000 manufacturing jobs, right? So it's not as close as you may think it is, especially when you've gone further and further left, and that's not what they're looking for. You can mobilize all you want, but if the message is let's go further left, let's give free health care to people that have come here illegally, let's give free college tuition to kids, let's give free health care to everybody, let's do all of these things. And by the way, the Green New Deal, new report came out about that today, new study. And I'm sitting around going, okay, I'm looking at the study, seeing who else is reporting it. There's very few places reporting it. And they said the first year, $70,000 essentially per household. $250K for the first 5 years to implement that. Soak that up for a second. All sounds fine and dandy. It's all expensive. The free things you want to do, a lot of this stuff is expensive. That's why the person that stands on that stage either tonight or tomorrow night and says, hey, let me tell you guys something. I'm not doing everything for you. I'm not giving you everything. This isn't going to happen the way that you think it's going to happen. All these people are promising. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do my best to get us together to help move the country forward and give people opportunities without trying to single-handedly throw us back 50 years because we want to be woke. Right? The inequities, the injustices, we're going to do our best to try to right those. But I'm not promising you the world. But I will promise you I'm going to do my best I can to give you the opportunity to seize the things you want to do. That person's like, you got my interest. You absolutely got my interest. But if you're standing up there and the debating healthcare is who can give away more healthcare than the other person, which will be a hot topic, I sit here and I shake my head.
One area where the proposed policies will likely get a lot of focus is health care. Senator Harris releasing her plan.
Under our Medicare for All plan, there will be no more co-pays. There will be no more deductibles.
But she's already been met with criticism for the plan's details. The Biden campaign saying she's committing to unraveling the Affordable Care Act, while Senator Sanders' campaign manager says, call it whatever you want, but you can't call this plan Medicare for All.
No, because she has come out, and here's a perfect example. And this is where Biden will go after tomorrow night. You were for Medicare for All to eliminate private insurance. Then afterwards, you weren't eliminating a private insurance. Then you went on and you eliminated private insurance again on like The View or something. Then after that, you said, no, I'm not going to do that. And like a lot of these things, they're short on detail. The one thing about Elizabeth Warren is she's detailed the hell out of it. I'm not sure all of it is constitutional, but she's trying. At least she's coming out. Right? I mean, you'd be surprised. By the way, Stossel's team did a great piece on all the free, and we'll touch on a little bit later. But when it comes to who spends the most out of all of these, Kamala Harris is about $1 trillion more a year compared to even Bernie Sanders with what she would like to do. Think who's paying for that. We're looking at like $4.39 trillion or $4.7 trillion, something ridiculous. Come on. Somebody just get on stage and be honest. Nobody wants to. They want to promise you the world, and they're not going to deliver it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Tell you what, the Trump thing is not going away. He is doubling down, tripling down, quadrupling down, and doing what Trump does when it comes to, yes, Baltimore. Oddly enough, this may work out for Baltimore, but you know, the racism thing is going to be there all day because of Trump. Doesn't matter what he does. And he can come out and talk it all day long. He took a shot at a politician who took a shot at him. And, of course, it's racist when he does that. But the reality is something completely different when you actually look at what he's talking about when it comes to Baltimore.
Baltimore has been very badly mishandled for many years. As you know, Congressman Cummings has been there for a long time. He's had a very iron hand on it. It's a corrupt city. There's no question about it. All you have to do is look at the facts.
Yeah, and how about the facts? Let's talk about Baltimore's facts for just a second. I want you guys to soak this up. 30 largest American cities. Baltimore has the highest crime rate, is close second to only Detroit, where the Democrats will be tonight, for the highest rate of violent crime. But for murders, Baltimore is second to none. 50 homicides per 100,000 people. That puts, as they say, the Charm City next to Jamaica, Venezuela, El Salvador's in terms of lethality. Think about that for a second. Think about that. Right? New York Times a couple years ago ran a story in their magazine that what happened to the Charm City. You had a PBS thing a few years ago about the infestation of rats. There are other areas outside of Baltimore, just like there are other areas outside of Detroit, that, yeah, you know, they are good. They are upper crust. But when you look at Baltimore, this is the fight between him and Elijah Cummings. And there are questions there that I'm fine for him raising. Do I like the way he does stuff? No. Does it annoy me at times? Absolutely. Does it take away from certain things? Yeah. But when you're going to go up against Trump, you got to know what you're going up against. He's going to fire back the first opportunity he has. But just because you're black or a woman or straight or gay or trans or whatever doesn't mean you're above being criticized. Well, Chad, it's the way he does. No, look, tell me Baltimore's a beautiful place. Tell me Baltimore's a wonderful place. Are there places around there that are okay? Yeah, you can go anywhere in any city and find some places. But when you listen to the numbers and your homicide rate is on par with El Salvador and Venezuela, I think this is a fair question to ask. Maybe it's a bit of a mess. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. I do love hearing from all of you. What are you looking forward to tonight? Do you think anything's going to happen as far as the Democrats? Do you think anybody's going to step forward tonight and actually have some sort of sanity? I wonder that. Hey, by the way, who's in your wallet?
100 million people affected by the hack, and Capital One says it'll notify everyone who may have had information compromised. 140,000 Social Security numbers were stolen, along with 80,000 bank account numbers. Tens of thousands of credit card applications are also a part of the breach. Security experts recommend checking your bank accounts and credit card activity frequently. You might also want to invest in additional fraud security alongside the monitoring service that Capital One says it'll offer to those left the most vulnerable.
Yeah, and the best thing that you can do in this day and age is just know this. Everybody listening, know this. You're going to get hacked at some point in time if you already haven't been hacked. It's happening. So your best thing is to monitor everything, to be absolutely on top of all of what is going on in your bank account and with your credit cards, and just know it's not if but when. It doesn't get any easier than that. It is coming, and you can't stop it. You can just be on top of it and stop it before it gets ugly, but it is going to happen. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at me. Do love hearing from every single one of you. Check out the Instagram as well and the Facebook, the Chad Benson Show, My Pillow. I slept pretty good last night, all things considered. Yesterday, I went out and played a little soccer, was running around. And the field I play on in between my shows isn't the nicest field. So there's some bumps and stuff, and I got stuck and I fell and I cracked a rib. So the fact that I got any sleep was amazing. And all I could say is thank you, My Pillow. I was able to get it perfectly. I slept pretty darn well. And I'm telling you guys, it is one little thing you can do to change so many things. This is what My Pillow is all about. Right now, for my listeners, that's you guys out there. Amazing deal. Never done this before. You're going to get a 60-day money-back guarantee, free shipping. You're going to get 2 premium pillows, less than $70. So it's coming right to you with free shipping. You try it for 60 days. You don't like it, get your money back. It's that simple. Go to mypillow.com. Use the promo code Benson or call 800-983-4975. Use that promo code Benson. Less than $70, 2 premium pillows made right here in the USA. 10-year warranty, washable and machinable, dryable, amazingable. And I tell everybody, don't wash it at first. Just put it in the dryer, fluff it up. That's all you need, about 15, 20 minutes. But you get that 60-day money-back guarantee. So try it right now. MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. MyPillow.com. The promo code is Benson. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show, where we make no apologies, although we do say a few Hail Marys and Our Fathers now and then. Amen.
It's round 2, part 1, and we know that the Democrats mixed it up a couple of weeks ago over in Miami. The stakes in a lot of ways are higher now because there's fully half of the folks out there today that don't know if they've got another ticket to one of these. And for a lot of the front runners who took fire over the last couple of weeks, this is a chance to show that you can shoot back.
Yeah, and who are those people? Well, Beto is one of them, but there are others tonight that are in a position where essentially this is their last hurrah. Even if they do well, they're not going to make it to the next round because they just don't have the money.
People like Steve Bullock, the governor of Montana, John Hickenlooper, former governor of Colorado, people like Tim Ryan, the congressman for Ohio, we may not ever see them again unless they make a splash.
Yeah, and I even think if they make a splash, it really, really doesn't matter. I will say this, earlier today feels like they should have walk-up songs. And for several of them, I think their walk-up song essentially should be this. Yeah, I don't think any of them are going to move on anywhere. Buttigieg, Warren, safe. Bernie Sanders, safe. right? Beto may have the money to survive. Klobuchar may have the money to survive. But the rest of them are, they're just pretty much done and dusted. I think we realize that. So enjoy it tonight. I have a feeling we could be seeing this thing thin out very fast. Google Trends. What's trending right now on Google? What's the world talking about? What's America talking about? Still number one trend today is Old Town Road, Lil Nas X. Katy Perry, and we'll get to her, why she's trending, is number 2. Real Madrid and Tottenham. And this is in America, by the way. Daily Search, real searches, is number 3. Some of the other stuff, Idris Elba is trending. Maynard James Keenan is trending. Yesterday, the number one trending thing was Capital One and their breach. But today, it has been Old Town Road, and that will change tonight. What will be the thing, probably the number one trending thing, will be the debates. But right now, not so much. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Once again, North Korea's at it. They fired off a few more things. What does this mean? Not quite sure. President Trump being President Trump when it comes to his old pal.
We'll see what happens. I can't tell you what's going to happen. I know one thing, that if my opponent was president, if she won, you would be in a major war right now with North Korea. And we are nowhere close. We'll see what happens. I he's full of it. I think we would just continue to ignore him. Right? That's what it would have been different, is it would have just been on the exact same path as the predecessor to this president and the predecessor to the last president. And we'd just be we'd be ignoring him, and he'd be rattling his saber, and China and Russia would be funneling him enough stuff that he wouldn't have to worry about anything. So that's where we would be. We wouldn't be any closer to getting rid of anything or any kind of peace, but we wouldn't be at war. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. California says we need to see your taxes if you're going to run here. And the new thing parents are doing to help their kids get into college. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Mark Morgan runs U.S. Customs and Border Protection. He told a Senate hearing that claims his agents are running concentration camps and letting migrants live in filth aren't true.
The demonizing of law enforcement professionals must stop.
Morgan saying they're investigating more than 60 active duty border agents who posted jokes about dying migrants and women on Facebook.
Yeah, and they're saying stop it. Are there a few bad eggs? Absolutely. In everything, by the way. In everything. There's a few bad eggs in everything. But when you, on a daily basis, hear about how awful you are and what you're doing and how bad that you're running things and it's concentration camps and you are essentially, well, for all intents and purposes, Ivan the Terrible, right? You're running, Auschwitz and Birkenau and many of these. I mean, come on. It's nuts. It's crazy. They've got a hard job to do. And it's funny, when I watch the left, right, first of all, the right needs to understand that there are some bad eggs out there, and I think they do. And that some people are just asinine and stupid and say and post things that are ridiculous. At the same time, the left needs to really start to acknowledge, some of them, that these men and women, and I've met plenty of them, are doing the best they possibly can in an awful situation that they were not really trained for. This was not their gig. They're supposed to be securing the border. They're playing, administrator. They're playing, a counselor and at times nanny and just it's a tough situation. But when you hear all day how bad it is and it's all your fault, I could see the frustration. Absolutely. Who couldn't? I mean, that's silly to think that. And this is where politics, though, and this is where the Border Patrol needs to understand. You are really no more different than a lot of ways than the people are trying to get here, in the sense that you're just a political puppet right now, right? Your actions are going to be used as political fodder to gain more power, to push more buttons, to raise more money. And that's frustrating.
It's likely to make a beeline right to the court system, but Governor Gavin Newsom signing a bill into law that will now mandate all presidential candidates, including President Trump, release their tax returns if they want to appear on California's primary election ballot. It will not impact the general election ballot, but opponents say the new law is unconstitutional. President Trump's attorney has said they will fight it in court.
You know what? Fine. That's the way you want to be. Whatever. You're not going to win there anyways. Oddly enough, that might be the state he probably gets the second most votes in. Isn't that weird? There's not even come close to winning. But, so what? There you go. If that's the way you want to be. More resistance from California. More resistance. Now, here's my thing. What if Texas said, for whatever reason, that whoever this presidential candidate is, Biden, doesn't get to be on? Well, that's just totally different. Why? I mean, this is ridiculous. But when you're resisting and you want to put up that wokeness and the power that you have, these are the things that you will do. So good for them. And if I'm Trump, I'd be like, wasn't going to win it anyways. So there you go. And if you're a Republican in California, how do you feel about that? Even if you know he's not going to win, your vote, if you were going to vote for him, is essentially being taken away by the Democrats in that crazy one-party state. It is college is going to be front and center tonight, the cost of college, the whole 9 yards, right? You've had the college varsity blues scandal that is still going on as people are being sentenced, and you've still got some court dates coming up. Lori Loughlin and her husband they pled not guilty, and they're actually going to go to trial together. But now you've got something new. ProPublica broke this, a very interesting thing that's going on in Illinois, and how kids and their parents are trying to get around certain restrictions to get a better deal and maybe even free dollar bills, yo.
ProPublica Illinois reporter Jody Cohen says she sifted through 1,800 probate petitions from 2018 and 2019, but more than 40 guardianship petitions stood out to her. They were formal petitions filed by lawyers on behalf of well-to-do parents who were, for example, doctors and real estate agents in suburbs like Buffalo Grove and Deerfield, giving up custody of their kids during their junior or senior year of high school. She says she and her colleague found that many families have been using a legal loophole to win their children need-based college financial aid and scholarships they would not otherwise receive.
So think about this. They are faking that they've given up custody. So they're giving up custody to a friend so they can get better financial aid to job the system.
By obtaining legal guardianship, what that does in terms of financial aid is it allows you to be able to file as an independent, meaning that you're not dependent on your parents to pay for any sort of income or to pay for college. So in evaluating for financial aid, the university is evaluating based on only the student's income.
So they're independent. So they have no income. They may be staying with somebody, and that's even debated too, because it's not illegal, which is crazy. And this is what I talk about. If there's a system in place, right, whether it's the asylum system, the way that people know how to work that system, the tax codes, and people understand how the tax codes work, and they stay within sight of the law, but they use the things that are available to them to get around things that other people would like, I didn't know that could happen, or something like this, people will find a way.
Cohen says the University of Illinois admissions director is calling this practice a scam and that the university was tipped off about this about a year ago. Officials there and at other Midwestern universities are looking into similar cases. Now, while the practice of doing this is a loophole, it is not illegal, but it sparks an ethical problem if financial aid is limited and takes away from a potential student with a real need. Now, Cohen says to close the gap, county judges can ask more questions about why a person might be filing for guardianship and using discretion on the ones they approve. And the federal financial aid form could provide more language on what it means to be in a legal guardianship. But now we know universities are on alert.
But if it's not illegal, so you're not doing anything wrong, you're not paying somebody at the school to give you a fake scholarship. You're not doing anything illegal. While it may be frustrating, and we can debate whether or not it's right or wrong morally, the fact is you're not breaking the law. And so if a college is looking at you and you've got the grades and you've got the extracurricular and you're using this to try to get around a system that quite frankly is completely broken, that has outpaced inflation, the rising cost is insane, and the opportunity presents itself in a way that's not illegal, how do you say no to a kid? I mean, it sucks that other kids, you may take money because a lot of this money is first come, first serve. So, God, it's you just sit back and you go, you work the system. But here's the thing. It's not wrong to work the system if the system in front of you is there. It was, even though it was meant to work in a different way, this is where you got to fix the system. It's the same thing with the tax code. They're going to talk about it all night tonight. They're going to debate how much the wealthy should pay and all of these kind of things. And let's close these things. You're not mad at what they pay. You're mad that you feel that they should pay more and that the system itself, i.e. the tax code, is broken. So you need to fix the tax code. And on more than a few occasions, both parties have had opportunities to fix the tax code, to fix certain things that in many places were put in good conscience to try to spur investment or do certain things, and people figured out how to take the opportunity and take advantage of it. Just like the asylum. The asylum thing that's been going on for the last 24 to 36 months, the reality is that for a good long time, nobody took advantage of it. And then some people started to. Then it got back that this is a great system to run with, and that's where we are now. But for a long while, it wasn't taken advantage of. It only takes one person to figure something out. I remember in California several years ago, if you had a vehicle, I think that weighed over like 8,500 pounds or, something like that, something ridiculous, that it was considered a farm vehicle and you could write it off. When people that were well-to-do found out, because you got X amount of dollars off of it, people were going out and buying things like Range Rovers, right? The well-to-do. And what were they doing? They were able to go and start taking a loss on that against their taxes, essentially getting a free car. Same thing went for you were getting a $10,000 tax break for electric vehicles that were street legal. Golf carts, certain golf carts were, and they were selling them for $9,995 or whatever. So what were people doing? They were writing it off on their taxes and buying these cars and getting a free vehicle. I mean, it's just the system's in front of you. You take advantage of it. If you don't like it, no matter what the system is, then you change the system. If you don't like the system. And people figure out a way to take advantage of it, i.e. not illegal, but still you take the advantage of it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at me. I love talking to every single one of you. I wonder what's going to take place tonight when it comes to how much they're going to talk about the guns after what took place in California over the weekend. Remember, he bought the gun. And this guy's a nut job. The more that I read, the more that I learn about this guy, 19-year-old kid, they're pointing some things to white supremacy and other things feel very incel. If you don't know what that is, basically you got no game, you can't get a date, nobody wants you, and so it's everybody else's fault. So the gun debate will happen, but California's got really strict gun laws, and this guy bought it in Vegas or Nevada and then snuck it across. So how do you fix something like that? And this debate is going to become front and center tonight.
All of the candidates that we'll hear from tonight at some level have embraced some aspects of gun violence prevention. I think the two candidates running with the strongest platforms are both Senator Harris and Senator Booker.
So we'll see. We'll see. It's going to be front and center for sure. In saying that, what do you do, right? What do you do? I understand. I have friends in the NRA, and we talk about it all the time. They don't like some of the tactics. They understand because even though they're not maybe huge fans of the National Rifle Association, they also, let's just say it this way, even though they're skeptical at times at some of the methods of the NRA, they're far more skeptical of what politicians would do. And for that, I completely understand. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Did she steal a song? Oh, did she? We will talk about it next. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show, the only place so far that the Mueller investigation hasn't deep probed for collusion.
Stay tuned.
This is Chad Benson.
At issue is the music for the Katy Perry song Dark Horse, which a jury in federal court Monday decided sounds too much like joyful noise from Christian rapper Flame. The trial lasted 7 days, during which Perry and her co-defendants testified that they'd never heard the song they're accused of ripping off. She was found liable, along with songwriters Dr. Luke, Max Martin, Capitol Records, and others. Now the jury will decide how much Perry and the others will pay.
Yeah, I don't know how much that's going to be. Robin Thicke and Pharrell and them who did that song, was it 3, 4, 5 summers ago that was so big, and they ended up having to pay Marvin Gaye's family, like $6 million. I know Ed Sheeran's been caught up in a lot of these, and apparently there may be another few songs, like a Christmas song and a couple other things that, and this is the problem when you essentially have, like, what would you call those, Phil? They're just soundtracks, right? They're just that everybody plays with.
Yeah, absolutely.
They find some sort of noise like the wee, 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 and then they decide, okay, they match it up in certain areas, and then they just so you're going to run into this a lot more. I would harbor a guess, and this is just me. Katy Perry, she may or may not have heard the song, right? I'm sure the others have. And let's remember this. People say, well, some sort of Christian artist. Katy Perry's family is really religious. I think her dad's a pastor, extremely religious group. So it's not like she would be, but when you got Dr. Luke and a few other people, there's a chance. And they just didn't. The jury just didn't buy it.
If you listen to these two songs side by side, the note progression at the center of both songs, that 4-note progression, it's very similar.
Yeah, it is. It is. So, I don't know. What they'll end up doing is they'll appeal it, and all the while behind the scenes, they'll figure out, all right, what do we owe you? How big of a song was it? It was a pretty big song. So is it a couple $1 million with future royalty rights? Do we just buy you out for $3-4 million with no future royalty rights? That's what they'll do. But you've lost once, and there's a chance you may lose again. And the amount of money you're going to put into this to fight it, yeah, at some point in time, you just go, I'm out. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. We talked last week about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and inside of the movie, right? This is about the Sharon Tate's murders, and it's Hollywood in the 60s, and it's got Charlie, and it's got DiCaprio and all of these things. But one of the things that's in it is Bruce Lee. Not actually Bruce Lee, but a guy playing Bruce Lee, and his family's pissed about the way he's depicted in the movie.
My hands are registered as lethal weapons. We get into a fight, I accidentally kill you. I go to jail.
Anybody accidentally kills anybody in a fight, they go to jail. It's called manslaughter.
Yeah, his daughter's upset and said, hey, look, this is a bunch of crap. The way that you guys portrayed him is an arrogant a-hole. And there was some of that. I mean, Bruce, man, he was that way. And he had to be, though. Also said, look, in the 60s, an Asian American actor, wasn't really well received, had to fight for a lot more. But she didn't like the way that he was perceived. And a lot of people are going to see this movie have no idea really who Bruce Lee was. They had, I love Bruce Lee. And I keep thinking to this day, I'm like, what would he command even now? And he'd be an expendable too, right? Like there's no way he's not an expendable. But all those great years we missed, especially through those late 80s and early 90s, all those, and then you had the Jackie Chans and the Jet Lis. But, oh, man, Bruce was otherworldly. He was like the real deal. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Dems debating it tonight. They're going to get down. I wonder who's going to surprise. Does anybody step up and just act normal? Right, tonight? Does anybody? Do they attack Biden? Do they attack Trump? If it's me, and I've only got a finite amount of time on stage to get my message across, the last thing I'm talking about is Trump. Talking about me and my plans. I'm not talking about other people. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
They're gonna get down. Here's the thing when it comes to debates. Right, left, no matter what it is, one of the most important things, and in many cases for the people, us watching, the singular most important thing in the debate is the person who's moderating the debate. That person is driving everything. The answers that the people want to hear, good, bad, or indifferent, to let you know where you stand, will come because the moderator will push them. Not the first the question, right? That's the jab. It's the second question, the overhand right, the hook, whatever it is. You're setting them up. You want to get something out of them that's not the stat answer. Everybody watching this tonight, minus Marianne Williamson, everybody watching this knows exactly what they're going to say. 1%. Climate change, free school, free college, 100% this, one of this. Yes, raise your hand. Here we go. We're all the same. They're going to be the same. I don't want to know that. I know exactly what you're going to say. I want to know, how do you pay for it? What does that really look like? Have you taken into account all of the unforeseen circumstances that you think that would never happen as a just in case? I.e., you want health care for everybody. Sounds great. So you're going to look at the insurance industry and you're going to take the entire thing over. You don't think there's going to be loss of jobs? Some of them are going to move over. Not everybody. We look at government waste now. Can you promise the American people there will not be any government waste? Can you promise the American people that you can literally, like your doctor, keep your doctor? You say it all the time. I've heard that before. Right? We already played this game a while back, and we found out that wasn't true. Same thing goes for, we're going to insure anybody that's here regardless of their status. The moderator will drive it. And if the moderator is a fan, if the moderator is intimidated, and that's one of the questions tonight is, are they going to play it safe with Bernie and Elizabeth Warren comparatively to other people? But the moderator is as important as the people answering the questions, because they're the ones who are going to be able to pry answers that are real out of them. Or, on the other side, they're going to be the ones that throw them up softballs. And you don't want that. You don't want that. And if you're a Democrat and you're watching this and you're thinking to yourself, I want to see what's out there. I want to see who's really got something. Right? And if you're an actual person that is advising many of these, some of them crazy for thinking they got a shot, others hanging on by a thread, and you're looking at the polls based on the last one, where it looked like, Joe's on the ropes. But then you look around and you're saying, man, Joe ain't on the ropes at all.
A new Quinnipiac poll shows former Vice President Joe Biden expanding on his lead, now with 34% support, up from 22% at the beginning of the month. Senator Elizabeth Warren is in second at 15%, with Senator Kamala Harris appearing to lose her first debate bump, dropping to 12% from 20%. Senator Bernie Sanders in fourth at 11%.
Yeah, and the more that I look at Middle America, the flyover states, the more that if I'm anybody on the Democratic side advising these people, saying, look, you're going further and further left, and the people in the center, right, the center-left Democrats, not the progressive Democrats, not the Democratic Socialist, but the center-left Democrats are watching you leave, and they're going to do one of three things. They're going to write somebody in, they're going to stay home, or they're going to hold their nose and vote for Trump. So that's a lot of people. Electability is vitally important. And you're moving further and further away from where they are. And you keep saying, come with us. And they're like, we don't want open borders. Come with us. We like our health insurance. We want you guys to do something about transparency and giving us more choices and options. Come with us. Come on over here. And they're like, nah, we're gonna sit here and see what happens. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how they battle it out tonight and what that looks like. For me, I think that tomorrow night is going to be very telling, because I think that Joe in the last one felt almost like he had to go along. And I think he was quiet, and he was observant, and I think he was taken by surprise, and that's not a good thing, because it was right in front of everybody what they were going to do to him. And there's a chance tonight they may attack him. But if you're honest with yourself and you're Joe, you're like, man, when is somebody going to step up and raise their hands when they promise everybody everything in the world, and somebody steps up and says, yeah, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to play that game. I'm not giving everybody everything. That's a game I'm not going to play. I'm not going to promise you everything, because it's just not going to happen. And then lay out a real plan that has an actual shot, as opposed to one that comes with unicorns and rainbows.
The Pentagon looking at reports that North Korea may have launched yet another missile test, despite promising President Trump they wouldn't. The president commenting on U.S.-North Korean peace talks earlier before news of the latest possible launch.
My relationship with Kim Jong-un is a very good one, as I'm sure you've seen. We'll see what happens.
What has happened is more missile launches and a continued North Korean nuclear program.
Yeah, and that's not going anywhere soon. That's exactly what he's about. Right? He's pissed. He's angry. He's throwing a fit. Welcome to the world of Kim Jong-un. Trump came out today and, did the usual Trump. Well, if my opponent would have won, no, we wouldn't be at war. He would just be ignored. And it would be easier for China and Russia and a bunch of other people to do what they've done in the past, which is sneak him stuff, and nobody's held their feet to the fire. And you've done it better than everybody else. and you've reached out when everybody else kind of ignored. But I don't think we'd be at war. I'm not buying that. So we'll see what happens. But once again, he's rattling the saber. Rattle the saber, rabble saber, rabble-razzle, rabble-razzle. He must want something. He must be out of cigars. I'm out of cigars. U.S. women's national team won the World Cup. Pissed off and angry, and I understand why. Felt that they're not being treated by the United States Soccer Federation. New report out that, guess what? You guys actually made more money than the men in the last 8 years. U.S. Soccer Federation says, look, we can't speak to how another body, which runs everything, pays you guys that we have nothing to do with, so that's not on us. But as far as money goes, you've made more money than the men in the last 8 years, and they've made 65% of the revenue, and you guys have lost $28+ million. So where does that go from here? I think the fight is going to get ugly. And, look, I stand back and I understand why they would be pissed, right? If they look at everything. But they also have to, don't you have to, some point in time, say, look, we're not making the money that the men make, whether we want to believe it or not. And, yes, they can fix certain things. But the reality is it's still a dollars and cents game. And even if you're successful, I know many people in my business that have been uber successful, but the ratings are a portion of it. And if you don't have the revenue, that's the big thing. And I've worked at places where, quite frankly, the ratings they never put the money into people. And the ratings weren't great, but the sales side of it was, so they stuck around a lot longer. It's dollars and cents. And people look at it and they say, you know what? We're putting our dollars over here. You guys can have some sense because this product is a better product. So we'll see how this goes. But on top of all of that, their coach decided today that she'd had enough.
It's obviously been a fantastic run and fantastic ride, and I'm going to enjoy these the last few games here. But it just felt right, felt good, and just in a really good place with the decision.
Yeah, so she's walked away, right, going out on top, and good for her, right? Like, that's the way you want to go. In fact, after she won the World Cup, she actually triggered her contract where she could have stayed through the Olympics. I think she's won 2 World Cups and Olympics with them, and I think she's kind of just like, you know what else? I got to go on to a new challenge. Right, and I think I'm over this. And the other thing is too, there might be some other friction, right? Like at some point in time, you go out on top because maybe you're wearing, you feel like everybody's getting a little bit bigger, if you will, too big for their britches, and maybe this is going to be a tougher thing going forward because once you have that success in sports and in just about anything else, everybody has their own agenda. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. Oh, my God. CNN has been... when did they start doing this, Phil? Was it like it's 5 in the morning when they started rolling all this stuff out?
I was up early at 5:30, and yep, they were already doing pregame.
Yeah, they've been doing pregame. It's very much like the NFL Super Bowl where you got to go through a bunch of stuff, right? And before you get to even the pregame, that's the real pregame you'd see on a normal Sunday. And then you got to go through the singing, like, hey, outside in the fan section, it's REO Speedwagon. And, like, the closer they get to the game, the bigger the band is. And then at halftime, they have the star. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. A man says, hey, I'm dead, but not really. Wait to hear this. Chad Benson Show.
Check out our Chad Benson Show Facebook page where you can hang out or hang your grievances out to dry. This is Chad Benson.
On Twitter and at the White House, the president insisting people criticizing what he said about Baltimore are wrong.
I am the least racist person there is anywhere in the world.
Black leaders, Democrats, and even some members of his own party disagree, saying the president only attacks black majority cities.
People living in Baltimore are very happy that I'm bringing out the fact that it's like living in hell.
Baltimore politicians insisting that isn't true.
Look, here's the thing. Again, I don't know what's in Trump's heart. I have zero idea. Could be the most bigoted, racist person on earth. He could be somebody who just doesn't give a rat's ass about color. I mean, he attacked Nancy Pelosi and nobody said anything. I saw New York Times today, Washington Post tried to make an argument that it's totally different, that Bernie called Baltimore a third world city. Little fact about Baltimore. Most violent crime, second only to Detroit, where the Democrats are debating night. Secondly, as far as murders go, it leads the way. It's on par with Venezuela and El Salvador. It is a awful place. Are there surrounding areas, the inside Cummings district? Yes. Just because you're black doesn't mean you're above criticism. Trump doesn't care about Baltimore. But the good news is people are paying attention and people are raising some serious questions and saying, hey, you know what? Baltimore is kind of a mess. It does need to be fixed. Think about some of the last mayors. Think about the last mayor. Was it Mosley or whatever? When the riots happened and she basically told the police, let them do what they want. Let them destroy the city, the CVS, all of these guys. It's nuts. Poorly run. Democrats have run, just like they've run Detroit and everywhere else, have run these cities forever. And they've ran them into the ground. You take away, in Northern California, Silicon Valley and the ocean, and that place, which is already a dump, San Francisco, because of the homelessness and the wackiness, it'd be Lebanon in the 80s. It would be nuts. I remember reading a story, I did a double check a few years ago. You guys remember when Olivia Newton-John's boyfriend went fishing and then he disappeared for 12 years, and she never heard from him again, like that he had to escape her or whatever? Well, guess what? This story, solid individual here is this character.
8 years ago, authorities say Igor Vorotinov went from Maple Grove, Minnesota, suburban Minneapolis, to Moldova, where he arranged for a corpse to be dressed in his clothes and dumped on the side of the road. They say he also left his ID on that corpse, and the following year an insurance company sent his wife a check for $2 million. Now, Vorotinov, who is 55 years old and alive, has been found guilty of faking his own death and sentenced by a U.S. district court to more than 3 years in prison for mail fraud. His scheme, they say, even involved a fake funeral in Minneapolis featuring someone else's ashes.
That is hilarious. Oh, my God. You got to really go for it, right? There's a reason they don't hand you the check 5 minutes afterwards. They felt it was suspicious, but they went. That's playing the part. That is playing the part. And when I was listening, I'm like, so you came back, right? You got $2 million. You didn't want to try something else, right? You went all the way to the point where you even had a fake body, and then you had a fake funeral, complete with ashes. But I was reading about that, Olivia Newton-John, her boyfriend, he fell off a boat fishing off the coast of Mexico. They couldn't find him, and after a few days, they just said he probably drowned. And then he lived in a Mexican village for 12 years before an Australian newspaper article said, this is the same guy here who said he disappeared. And I'm like, oh, my God. How does that make you feel? If that's like Baby Gone before Baby Gone, right? Was that movie where she just disappears? How would you feel if your wife or husband or your boyfriend, for whatever reason, just up and up left? I love that fantasy sports commercial when they say, hey, okay, what's your fantasy? Your pick? And the guy's like, disappear, leave the wife and the kids, start over in a new town, new identity, new soul. They're like, no, your fantasy pick. Oh, yeah, Calvin Johnson or whatever. It's just, oh, my God. You got to be committed, man. You got to be committed. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Some of these people tonight should be on witness protection because that's how well known they are. Talk a little bit more about the Dems. Some immigration we'll touch on as well. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
A new Quinnipiac poll shows former Vice President Joe Biden expanding on his lead, now with 34% support, up from 22% at the beginning of the month. Senator Elizabeth Warren is in second at 15%, with Senator Kamala Harris appearing to lose her first debate bump, dropping to 12% from 20%. Senator Bernie Sanders in fourth at 11%.
Yeah, because of electability. I don't care how woke you want to be on the left. I don't care about all your political correctness and give me. The reality is he's electable. He's electable. The other people, based on not the color of their skin, not based on what is or isn't between their legs, not based on any of those things, the way that they're going about doing things and what they're trying to put out there, for the average Democrat, they don't feel comfortable with it. They don't. They're not a big fan of open borders. They don't want any part of that. They're not for free college and health care for all. They want to see prices brought down, more competition. They're more pro-union and pro-choice. And they look at somebody like Joe Biden and goes, I can elect him. $4 to $5 trillion extra a year to pay for all kinds of stuff seems like, well, it's going to be expensive. You're going to have to get a second job to pay for your life because your first job will be paying for your taxes and everybody else. That's why, even after he didn't do well in the first one, people are still looking at him going, I kind of like him comparatively. And I got to be honest, for all you Trump fans out there, a Biden, Kamala Harris ticket is going to be tough to beat. It's going to be tough to beat. Doesn't mean it can't be done. And again, anything between now and next November, so many things could change, from the economy. It could slow down and go into a nosedive, to it could strengthen and become a freight train. All kinds of things can happen between now and next year, the end of next year. So there's a lot that goes into this. But when you look at these things, it's electability. Biden is a much better presidential candidate than Hillary was. He's got that folksy, even though he makes a lot of mistakes, he's at least somewhat relatable. Where Hillary was a robot, right? She thought she had it in the bag. Tonight, though, you got Warren, you got Sanders. I don't think there's going to be any fireworks because they're on the same page by and large. The only difference is at least Warren has talked out, planned out, and has a plan, whether you like it or not, for her stuff. Right, for her giveaways, where Sanders is more, we want to do this, and this, and it's going to cost this, and yes, you're going to get a lot of taxes, but don't worry, because you're not going to have to pay for anything, which I'm never, so wait, I have to pay for it, but I'm not going to have to pay for it. Exactly.
Tonight is going to be all about this showdown between these progressive powerhouses, Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders. But I wouldn't expect many fireworks because these two are friends. They are longtime political allies. So far, they have been hesitant to attack each other out on the campaign trail. Their truce tonight, of course, will be tested, but it is unlikely that at this stage in the game they see much benefit to going after each other. They're likely to direct their fire at the frontrunner, Joe Biden.
Yeah, well, that's fine. Joe's not there. Joe's tomorrow night. And the person that stands up in these next two debates and says, when everybody raises their hands, you want to give free college to everybody, free health care to anybody that's here, free this, that, and the other, all you have to do is look around and go, everybody put your hands down. Enough. This is ridiculous. This is not happening. Right? Let's talk about the reality of what's going on here. Right? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about it in a real way that isn't going to bankrupt this country so you can have a free-for-all. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. There's a hunger strike at the border.
At an Immigration and Customs Enforcement facility in El Paso, 3 men from India have been on a hunger strike for 3 weeks to protest what they call a biased asylum process and an unduly long detention period. One of them has been in custody for over a year. Now a federal judge is allowing ICE to force the men to be given an intravenous drip for hydration. An attorney for the men says they're weak from lack of nutrition, but that she's duty-bound to respect their wishes to continue their hunger strike.
Well, they're from India. They want to go on a hunger strike. They don't like what it is that they're going through. And, yeah, it probably does suck. But this is what happens when you take the chance and come to the country uninvited. Should it take that long to get through the asylum process? No. But the reality is it shouldn't be that we have hundreds of thousands of people. I mean, what are we looking at this year? We're on pace for how many? Just at the border alone. I'm not talking about overstayed visas. I'm talking about just the border alone. Because you forget, you come here on a visa, you overstay it, you are welcomed in the country. We said come here, enjoy your vacation, come do studies or your work that you're going to be here for 3, 6, 9 months, a year, whatever it is, and then you never leave. But you're okay to be here. The other side is they just show up in mass. It's a tough situation. I get it. But the question is, again, like tonight, I want to see how people address this issue. How do you address this? What's going on? What's the real answer to this? Not, I want to decriminalize everything. I want to have the borders essentially open, even though I'm going to say we need to have strong borders. By that, I mean, we need it to be just one-way traffic. And we don't want to enforce any of these laws that we are seen to be, as racist and archaic and draconian. It's stupid. Come up with a real plan again. That's all that anybody in the Democratic Party that comes out with a plan that's actually real, that doesn't sound pie in the sky, that doesn't sound nuts, guess what? You'll get people to pay attention. You'll get Republicans who are disgruntled, conservatives that look at Trump and can't stand the way he acts, can't stand the fact that, that they feel like he's got racist tendencies and he's a bigot. You will, and there's plenty of them out there that hold their nose, because if the choice is between Trump and a free-for-all gimme of Sanders or some of these others, they're going to pick that. But if you come out with something that's real and you're somewhat articulate, there's a lane right now that's only kind of occupied by Joe Biden. And that is, hey, you know what? We need a strong border. We need to make it easier for people to come here, but we need to be a sovereign land and we need to enforce our laws. And that includes the fact that if you go through the process and you are denied by a judge, they've adjudicated your entire court case has gone through and you've been adjudicated. No, you cannot stay here. You do not meet the requirements for asylum. You must leave. Then you have to leave. Not, oh, well, no, we shouldn't let them leave. That's not fair to them. That's a bunch of crap. That is, but we won't hear that tonight. Well, everybody raise your hand for everything. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at me. How about this, right? In a day and age of, I can't believe that you would do something like this. This just makes me scratch my head. It's a doll that's supposed to help you feel better.
Well, new this morning, controversial black dolls, which are meant to be abused, are now being removed from store shelves in New Jersey.
And the first question is, who thinks of this?
Right.
The instructions on what they're calling the Feel Better doll tells customers to find a wall and slam the doll against it.
Okay. Now, here's my thing. I get, have you ever had those things when you get stressed, you have the stress balls or you throw them? I mean, they got places now in the big cities, right? In the big cities, you can go to those places in L.A. and Manhattan when you're stressed out and you could break a bunch of stuff. This is supposed to be that, but the doll's black, so that automatically, I think if it was a white doll, I don't know how he'd feel about this, or a doll in general because it represents a young girl, I guess. It's still, though, you should think, all right, is this something that's going to work, right? Just you got to think of everything nowadays, right? It can't just be one thing. You have to think about how is everybody going to take that? They're going to look at it's a little girl or a girl, so I have to make it a basically non-gender. They're going to look at it in another way and say, well, it's black, so I got to make sure that that at least there's a myriad of colors, right? Depending on the colors you want, like a blue one, green one, orange one, purple one. But no, you made it a black doll, and because of that, you pay the price because you're an idiot.
The president of $1 Zone says the store pulled about 1,000 of those dolls from the shelves at the stores in Bayonne after customers and a state lawmaker called them offensive. The manufacturer, Harvey Hutter Company, has not commented.
All right, so 2 questions. I'm just saying. One, why did the doll have to be black? 2, no matter the color, the idea that you would smash anything resembling a child, anything about violence against a child of any color seems to be a perverse and offensive idea.
We need to talk to Harvey.
Yeah, you definitely need to talk to her. It's stupid, again. That's why you make it just look like a little nondescript if that's what you want, or you could squeeze it or do whatever. People, man, I tell you what, though. I'm always amazed that people do things and they think, well, I can't believe I didn't get away with it. Like, I didn't mean it that way. And in many cases, I'm sure the people didn't mean it that way. It's just a lack of common sense. And here's the other thing. And this is something that I think people don't get, is a lot of times when you get stuff like this, the doll's not made here. It's made in another country that isn't woke, that doesn't see it as something that's evil and bad, right? They're just told to make something, and they do. And it's stupid. There's no excuse. But come on. Jeez, people are so dumb. I'm always amazed at stuff that people tweet. And again, tweeting's another one of those things where today you got to be worried about everything. If we're going back 5 years and you didn't have to be worried about it at that time, I could care less what you tweeted. It's different based on today. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. By the way, I was looking at this. Is a great. The best fries have been named in America. And out of those fries, though, it also comes with the most calories. The number one fry in America that people voted on is Five Guys. If you were to get a large Five Guys fries, 1,310 calories. Oh, that is a ton of calories. That's more than double what the average male should have. It's about 2,200 calories, 2,100 calories a day. So just on those alone, you're going to get your daily caloric intake of 1,300 calories. So over 50% of your calories right there. Man, God, I love Five Guys. I just want to say that, though. For all of that, I do love their fries. But now, it's like, if it's in front of you, you're just like, well, that makes me uncomfortable. That does. That comes with diabetes. I don't know if I want that. ZipRecruiter. Got something for you guys. I want you to write this down. ZipRecruiter.com/Benson, BENSON. So right now, it's an employees marketplace, right? You know, buyer's market, seller's market, those kind of things. It's an employees marketplace, meaning lots of jobs. You got to fill your job. But the employee, in many ways, has the upper hand, and you want to stand out. You want to get that great employee. How do you do it, right? You're competing with so many other companies out there. Well, you go to ZipRecruiter and you sign up. First and foremost, 100 of the leading web's job board. That's where your job's going to go, right? Then they've got powerful matching technology. This is really awesome. They're going to scan resume after resume, thousands of them. They're going to find the people with the right experience, and they're going to invite them to apply for your job. But they don't stop there. Applications that start to come in, they're going to analyze each one, and then they're going to send you the top candidates. So what do? You're never going to miss a match. It's that amazing. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. Now, for my listeners, how about this? Try it today for free. Simple and easy. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/Benson. That's ZipRecruiter.com/BENSON. ZipRecruiter.com/Benson. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Running with scissors sounds great compared to this.
Say woo! Been asking people walkout songs if you are a candidate. Gabe just tweeted in and said, how about a little Return to the Mac? Mark Morrison for Biden. I could like this one. A little bit of swagger. How would you feel about this? Coming up. Little Sleepy Joe gonna roll on out here. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the one and only Vice President of the United States, now running as your Democratic candidate, Joe Biden. Little pimp walk. Little limp. Oh my God, how funny would that be? Like, what's up, man? Tom Perez was on stage, and I couldn't hear what he was. I was in the other room talking to another show, and we were just chatting about some stuff, and you could see him up there. But he was, he felt like he was giving it, yo. I'm going to give it. Reminded me of Coming to America. Remember Coming to America? And Sexual Chocolate. Chad, you're so rude. Think about this for a second. Your mother passes away. You love your mom. But your mother's had troubles, and she dies, and you want to do something good. So you decide that you're going to donate said body for research, only to find out,
Jim Stauffer in Phoenix 5 years ago donated his mom Doris's body for Alzheimer's research to Biological Resource Center. A reporter from Reuters contacted him with documents showing his mom's was one of many bodies sold to the U.S. Army for bomb testing. Her body strapped in a chair.
A detonation took place underneath her to basically kind of get an idea of what the human body goes through when a vehicle is hit by an IED.
Research center owner pled guilty to running an illegal enterprise, sentenced to probation. He's being sued.
Probation, that's all he got. Because he had the right to have these bodies. It's what he did with them. They found, like, coolers full of genitalia. They found a woman's head sewn onto a man's body. It was kind of like a macabre, Frankenstein, Leatherface, weirdness. And he was probably selling stuff to the highest bidder. And, I mean, God, knowing your mother was blown to bits has to be a little upsetting. And you can't blame the military because they're trying to get a real feel of what's taking place in situations like this rather than use, like, potentially pig. This is what they use a lot of as far as the texture of the skin and the kind of damage it was to. Oh, my God. How just awful is that? 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Time for a little throwdown in the Motown. On your mark. Get set. Let the freebies begin. I'm kidding. I'm sure it's going to be fantastic. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson is both your Instagram and your Twitter. It is the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Mullis, Lavelle, Rose up the middle, looking, cutting, shooting, go! Lavelle to another U.S.
So a few weeks ago, U.S. women's national team won the Women's World Cup, right? And they apparently, according to them, got paid 83 cents to do so. And they were the talk. Remember what I said? For the couple weeks, they'd be talk of the town. They'd be talk of the town. And, they're going to go up here on all the shows. And, of course, they're fighting with Trump. So all that stuff was going on. It was everything. It was just everything. And then they're in the middle of a lawsuit, right? Because it's equal pay. They want equal pay. The men make more than they do. Well, according to a new study, guess what? In fact, since 2010 to 2018, guess what? Not true. They've made more money than the men, and they lost $28 million in that time frame. So they were paid more than the men. And this is the battle that goes on in the world of being woke and the world of equality and the world of all of this stuff. Here's the ugly truth. You were subsidized. You lost money. And in your sport, you're not it. That's the ugly truth. Oh, but Chad, that's not fair to say. No, that's the reality of it, right? Like, that's the absolute reality of it right there. And what made me laugh is this has come out, and they're disputing this. Oh, these numbers are wrong, because that's what you do. You come out and dispute. But no, in truth, it's like ESPN right now is got women's soccer on, right? But at the same time, the men's soccer's back in the swing. And so you got all these great teams here in the United States competing, Arsenal and Real Madrid and Bayern Munich and teams around the globe are getting, ready. And next weekend is the kickoff and the start to all the seasons and whatnot, by and large. And it's just, sorry, I don't want to see it. Right? It was fun while it lasted. You had your guys' moment. You move on. Here's the reality of it. You don't make the money. You don't. You just don't do it. But you won't hear that, right? Because we live in a world now where we don't want to tell you the truth, right? Nobody wants to know the actual truth. We'd rather be lied to. I mean, politics is the perfect thing. We got the Democratic debate going on tonight, right? And what is not going to happen? You're not going to get the truth from anybody on the stage. You're not going to get the reality check that you need because they're so busy placating and pandering to a very vocal but small group of people who they fear more on Twitter than they do the actual voters that will come out. And the reality is government's not going to save your ass. Government is not going to do all the things they said. Nobody is going to be honest with you. Tonight, they're all going to promise you every single thing that they possibly can, because that's what you do. Because for whatever reason, much like people do on the internet when they go and threaten companies, they want to see if they can turn the screws on you to get you to bite into whatever it is they're doing so you can placate them. And I often wonder, do you guys really believe all this stuff?
I would actually position myself as, look, this may not make me popular. I may get lit up on Twitter, but you need to know the truth. Because I think the worst thing about politics is leave people disappointed because you promise one thing in the campaign, you can't deliver when you get there.
Yeah. That's every politician. How about you start with the truth, right? Like, how about somebody stands on stage tonight and say, look, we got to fix immigration. Right? You're not going to get free health care. Right? It's going to cost you more. And the cost may be much bigger than we think. But if you get cancer or have a massive heart attack, you won't have a bill. But it may be tougher for you to live on a day-to-day basis because your taxes are going to go up and the goods are going to be more expensive. You have to ask yourself, is that something you want? Or do you want to make your own choices? Right? We've heard this song. Nobody wants that, right? Like, the women's national team doesn't want to hear the fact that they've lost money, but they want to be equally paid, right? Nobody wants to hear that. Not that I don't think they should be equally paid. And if you look at these numbers, and again, they'll dispute these numbers. Somewhere in the middle is probably the truth. It may not be a $30 million loss, but it's probably a loss. But the reality is we've stopped wanting to hear the truth. We've not asked our politicians to be honest with us. We want them to placate us. We want them to tell us some sort of, a perfect example with Donald Trump. As awful as he can be. And I get why people think he's a bigot and a racist. One thing I do know is he is an equal opportunity offender. But this whole thing with Baltimore, right? He goes after Baltimore. He goes after Elijah Cummings. And that's what this is about. This is a battle between two men. I'm here to tell you guys can get a little closer to the radio. Just because you're black or Hispanic or Asian or a woman or a trans woman or a trans man doesn't mean you're above being criticized. And just because you criticize somebody doesn't mean, right, that you hate that person because of the color of their skin or what they identify as or any of those other things. Baltimore's a disaster. It's a mess. They've had rat issues. They had a PBS special about infestations of rats. Their murder rate is on par with Venezuela and El Salvador. They've had several corrupt mayors. They nearly burned the damn city down a few years ago, and the mayor was totally fine with it. Remember her? Remember that? So you can point fingers when really maybe you should go, look, he's a jerk, but you know what? I know people are jerks and a-holes. Doesn't mean they're wrong. Right? And I'll tell you right now, Trump doesn't care about Baltimore. He cares about making Elijah Cummings feel uncomfortable. But there was truth in what he said. Because we don't want to hear the truth anymore. We don't. I'm asking you a question. Do I look good in this outfit? The question is essentially, tell me I look good in this outfit. Should be the only answer, right? Because we don't want to know the truth. Whether it's politics or sports or a lot of other things. We'd rather you placate us. And that's why tonight on stage, you're going to get a bunch of people. They're going to be taking their cues from Twitter mobs and people who want to be woke and feel good about themselves, when in reality, they want to be just woke enough that they can complain about something, but not really woke enough to participate, right? It's like the Green New Deal. $70K per household for the first year, $250K for 5 years is what a new study came out. Let's just say we cut that in half. $35K the first year, $125K over 5 years. That seems a little steep, right? Seems a little uncomfortable for a family of four to roll into. But we feel good. What was the study earlier this month? Most people are willing to do what? They'll spend $100 a year to fight climate change. But that's it. So about $8 a month. $35K and $8 are two different things. Just like with free health care and so many other things, we want to do just enough. Like, it's great if it's free for me and I don't care who else has to pay for it. But if it's on you, right? Well, then that's a different story. That's a totally different story. But we don't want to hear it. Whether it's the women's national team or whether it's politics or any of these other things. All of it sounds great. And then the reality is, once you peel back the onions, there's a lot of other things in it. And then that's what makes you cry. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. Did you get hacked? Capital One. Tell you what. So you had Equifax. And by the way, the average person, they said last week, you've got to go through and do your Equifax if you want to try to get that $125, check or whatever they're going to send out to you. Your choice is free monitoring or a check. For $125. Most people aren't going to get $125. Most people will be lucky to get a few bucks. I mean, how many of you out there have got checks sitting somewhere for 8 cents, 25 cents, 15 cents? Some people will get real money. But if you don't do those things, you essentially sign off your rights to do anything in the future. So you've got to go through the rigmarole. Then yesterday, we found out that Capital One was hacked, and it was a big one.
Paige Thompson, a Seattle software engineer, under arrest after authorities say she hacked credit card issuer Capital One, gaining access to more than 100 million applications, exposing credit scores, balances, payment history, and contact information. 140,000 social security numbers and nearly 80,000 bank account numbers compromised too.
Yeah. 100 million. So check your bank account, and I'm here to tell you, it will happen to you. You cannot stop it. No matter how much you think you've got it locked down, it's not that locked down. Somebody, somewhere, not going specifically after you, will still get your information. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Your Twitter, you can tweet at me. I got myself new cans. That's what we call them in the business. Headphones. No. Earbuds. I'm very particular about I don't like stuff really, really loud. I like to be able to control it in a good way, and I like a comfortable fit. And Raycon is all of that and then some, right? Ray J, you don't know who he is, music producer, entrepreneur, along with several other muckety-mucks in the world of entertainment, like Snoop Dogg and stuff, put this company together in a way that was meant for a person to have quality without spending large quantities of money. And that's where Raycon comes in. The best headphones around. Period. Case closed. You see the little earbuds. So you put these earbuds in, right? And normally, like when I go to the gym and I see people working out, they've got the stems or they've got the thing that comes underneath. And I'm just like, I don't want that, right? That's annoying. And those stems are annoying. Not with these. They fit, they just snap right into your ear and away you go. And it's awesome. It's so incredible. Comfortable fit, the best sound around, quality like you cannot believe. These E50s are amazing, and the style is cool. I've had more people go, where'd you get those? Right? And I'm like, oh, yeah, they're Raycons. They're amazing. Now is your chance. Half the price, better quality, better sound. What are you waiting for? My listeners, 15% off right now. Go to buyraycon.com/Chad. That's buyraycon.com/Chad. Buyraycon.com/Chad. Save yourself 15% on the best earbuds around, and they're already half the price. So you do the math. Buyraycon.com/Chad. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Experiencing separation anxiety? That's dumb. Check out Chad 24/7 at his website, ChadBensonShow.com, and on iTunes, free. The Chad Benson Show. Never feel lonely again.
The FBI says 35-year-old Sursa Baez robbed 4 banks, and she got the nickname, they say, for the distinctive pink purse she carried in at least 2 of her robberies. Investigators say the pink lady started her robbery spree on July 20th at a bank in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. 3 days later, hitting another one in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. The very next day, 300 miles away, another robbery in Ayden, North Carolina.
The pink lady bandit. You need to have some sort of shtick, right? If you're going to be a bank robber, right? Don't you? You need to have a shtick. You can't just what's going to be your shtick? Like if you're gonna roll in, do you dress like a furry? What do you look like? He was a 6-foot bear. Really? Yeah, it's crazy. It was Charlie Brown. No way. It was Mickey Mouse. Hi, everybody. Like, how do you do it? But apparently she had a purse. Like they're stretching here. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at me. A couple of you tweeted in about what I was saying about the women's national soccer team. Like, I'm being a jerk. It's like, just because you don't like the message doesn't mean it's not true. And that's the thing I think we need to realize in this day and age of uncomfortableness is we've gotten so sensitive that if you dispute something, or if you have a debate with somebody, or if you try to point out, hey, let me show you this, that somehow we feel like it's a personal attack on us. And it's both sides of the aisle. It is. It's not just one side or the other. It's like, yeah, you can't have a debate about anything, right? I mean, you just, and we've gotten to the point, too, where we have used words and labels to end conversations and cordial dialogue and debate by labeling somebody homophobic, Islamophobic, racist, and somehow you win that argument because you don't like something that somebody's bringing. Not saying there's not people out there that aren't those things, because sure there is, plenty on all sides. But when you use that as your argument against something, is to label somebody something because you don't want to have a conversation, that is not good. That is not good at all. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Touch a little bit more about the debates. Would you eat a soup that's been brewing, if you will, for 45 years? Oh, yes, kids. Is the word America and American offensive? And wait to hear the story about men and periods. Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
And then finally, I just say, being an old Detroiter who's done a lot of Michigan politics, I ventured north to the city of Detroit, Macomb County line last night and poked around. There's a real warning for the Democrats up there. This lurch to the left with Medicare for all, decriminalizing the borders, etc., that'll give Trump a powerful, powerful weapon to take back those voters that elected him in Michigan last time.
And that's exactly where Hillary Clinton did not campaign effectively. Kristen Welker, you and I know that very well, having traveled that route.
Yeah. And a lot of people think you're just going to show up this time because Trump's a massive jerk and you're going to win. And these debates are just, you're going to go out and you're going to pander to everybody. And you're going to be woke and you're going to be on the right side, right? Morally upstanding right side. And you're easily going to win. But if you look at Michigan, 105,000+ jobs since President Trump has been in office. Manufacturing's up about 25,000 jobs. But he tweets mean stuff, Chad. Yeah, he's a jerk. He's a troll. He's thin-skinned at time, and he's a troll, and he likes to fight. But he's a troll. He is. I get them all day on my Twitter and my Instagram, all kinds of stuff. People just say horrible things because there's little to no recourse, right? But he trolls. But you showing up thinking, well, I've got the D by my name now, and so you see what you've got over the last X amount of years, it'll be 4 years, but there's a lot that can happen between now and next November. And to think that magically you win when all the while you're moving further and further away from a good core of that middle-class Democrat. Not the Manhattan Beach, California, Manhattan, New York Democrat, but that middle-class, middle America Democrat, and you need them. You wonder why Biden's starting to pull away again?
A new Quinnipiac poll shows former Vice President Joe Biden expanding on his lead, now with 34% support, up from 22% at the beginning of the month. Senator Elizabeth Warren is in second at 15%, with Senator Kamala Harris appearing to lose her first debate bump, dropping to 12% from 20%. Senator Bernie Sanders in fourth at 11%.
Yeah, because the further left you go, the more it makes people uncomfortable. Right? They don't want wide open borders. They want common sense immigration reform. They want to go to the same place that many Republicans want to go. They may have a differing way to get there, but they kind of all want the same thing. They don't want ridiculous taxes. Yes, do they want the rich to pay their fair share? Absolutely. Do they want more unions having a hand in stuff? More things made here? Fairer wage? Yes. Do they maybe believe more? Look, you find a lot of pro-life Democrats out there. I think that surprises people. But that's why Biden comes across so well. And people are missing the mark, right? Because everybody's too busy in la-la land trying to give away everything they possibly can and placating this small group of people on the internet and on social media and this elitist group of many people in the media who are, you know, they want a lot of these things because it all sounds great and fine and fun and dandy, right? But in reality, you put it into play, and that middle class is going to be pinched like never before. It's not going to affect them. But, hey, here we are. So tonight, a little bit different. You got Warren and Sanders. They'll maybe go at it. My biggest curiosity is who isn't going to survive. Not like somebody's going to get like taken out tonight. Although that would be great. I would laugh if like halfway through they just come out and they're like, you got to go. Sorry, you can't. You've fallen and you will not be able to get up anymore. So who survives this into another round? So you've got Williamson, who's everybody's favorite person, right? You know, Marianne Williamson. She's the self-help author and guru. Tim Ryan, Klobuchar, Buttigieg, Sanders, Warren, O'Rourke, Hickenlooper, Delaney, and Bullock. Bullock and Delaney they're done and dusted. Hickenlooper's hanging on by a thread. Whatever's going through Beto O'Rourke's mind, I couldn't tell you, but he's got a little bit of cash, so he may make it to the next one. Warren, Sanders, and Buttigieg should be fine. Klobuchar, maybe. Tim Ryan's done, and Marianne Williamson, we'll see. So it's going to be a free for all of freebies. I'm still waiting for somebody to stand up and say, you know what, all of this stuff is ridiculous. Let me tell you how we're going to do this in a way that's real, and lay it out for us. Maybe Biden does that tomorrow night. Maybe that's Biden's approach. But tonight, I don't think you'll get that. 45 years in the making. Producer Phil, you and I were talking about this because you're more of a foodie than I am. But 45 years, this is the broth of a soup that's never been thrown away after a day's cooking. It's Wantana Panich in Bangkok. And this has been sitting there. The broth has been preserved and cooked for 45 years. And they say it has a unique flavor and aroma. And it's not, they say that there's nothing, you shouldn't worry about any of this stuff. Like as far as getting sick. But there's other stuff out there. French stew lasted 21 years, right? But there's also people going, what about people getting sick? 45 years just seems like a long time for soup. I was really hungry. 45, but it's just a broth. And you were like that. You were right though. Because as Phil and I were talking about, they just add to it on a daily basis, but the broth stays the same. So 45 years, and they leave it simmering all the time. 45 years in the making. So you know what you're going to get. And if you survive that, you can probably eat anything. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. In this woke world, in this world of political correctness, colleges are the fighting ground for the word battle that goes on. And now there are suggested alternatives to certain things that you would think, no way. But what have I been telling you? The flag has already been challenged. How about this? America and Americans may be offensive. Or maybe not. University in Colorado, it's Colorado University, has an inclusive language guide that includes American and American among words deemed to be non-inclusive. So stupid. So this is what they want you to use as an alternative. You want to know why Trump? These are the things for Trump, right? You want to know why? This kind of stuff. So instead of saying American or America, you could use U.S. citizen or person from the U.S.?
I'm out.
I am person from the U.S. Doesn't stop there, kids. They got more stuff. They said it's an inclusive language guide. It's meant to be a living document and not an official policy or required practice. Right? And what I love is we consider free speech and the First Amendment the foundations of a great American public university. Except for a great U.S. university. Right? We want to say America. I want to get rid of that. Here's some other stuff. Terms you can't use. Crazy, dumb, dwarf, Eskimo, gyp, Hispanic, illegal immigrant, and normal person. These are all words that you are basically told to avoid. Here's something. No more terms like cakewalk, right? Because apparently that was a game that slaves were forced to play. And eeny, meeny, miny, mo, which was a phrase in a game they used, the N-word was using that. Also, the word straight is now deemed to be offensive because it implies that gay people are crooked or not normal. I want you guys to hear this. Straight, apparently, if somebody's straight, that it implies that somebody who's not straight or gay is somehow not normal or crooked. I don't know how you get. How do you make that leap? And how many times do I tell you guys? Again, this is why Trump. This is why Trump. This is why. Because of crazy stuff like this. Remember, a good majority of Democrats find this political correctness to be a bunch of baloney and hogwash. But everybody's afraid to say it. The more and more I talk to political professors and people who work on campuses, the more that we chat, the fear factor that they have to feel like they have to get behind everything that the mob wants them to get behind, even though scientifically the data may not line up. They're afraid of everything. So it's just easier to be part of the mob than fight the mob, even if the mob is wrong. Right? Case in point, like this right here is a perfect example that nobody would talk about. This is a guy, right? He identifies as a guy. Apparently he is a guy, except for one thing.
My name is Jamie Rains, and I'm a trans guy who's been on testosterone for a little over 7 years now. And I'm here today to talk to you about what it's like to experience periods as a trans guy.
Okay, first of all, he's a guy. He's been on testosterone. But he also has a period. So my assumption is he's not gone through the change, if you will.
One of the biggest misconceptions is that periods are only experienced by women.
Which is true, scientifically. Again, you're identifying, and you want to be a man. I got zero problems with that. I'll call you Jamie. You want to be called Jamie? Jamie the guy. What's up, Jamie? How's it going? Whatever. Great. But scientifically here. But you can't say this on a campus. You can't do any of these things. Because if you say something like this, you're deemed what? Transphobic, homophobic.
But in reality, transgender men are real men. We're just born a little bit different to other guys. And it can be quite hard to navigate having periods as a guy when everything to do with periods is aimed very much towards women and is very like female orientated and all the advertising and packaging and just all of that stuff.
All right. So what he's mad about is he's a man who happens to have a period, and he's pissed off at what? That when he goes to look at the quote-unquote feminine products, he what? He's pissed because there should be man products as well. Well, guess what, kids? Tampax has finally done it. Hey, you're a modern man, and that means you probably have a period. I don't know how it works, but apparently that's how it works. That's why Tampax has come out with the Titan line. That's right, the Titan line. Shaped like shotgun shells, it gives you the freshness you need with the protection you want. The Tampax Titans. Strong enough for a woman, but oddly enough, kind of made for a man-woman. Tampax. There you go. This is why Trump. I'm just throwing it out there. This is the insanity we deal with on a day-to-day basis. Can't have conversations about it because you're an evil, bad human being. Just when you can label and you can accuse and you can shut off conversations and we can ignore data, facts, and science, this is why Trump. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us every day. Thousands of dogs are being euthanized. While at the same time, 20 veterans a day commit suicide. So where this amazing organization comes in to meld the two together to try to prevent those things. They're called Wounded Paw Project, and they are awesome. What they do is they rescue these dogs, train them to be service dogs when nobody else says you. Everybody's like, you can't do that. You can't take a dog, it's a couple years old that nobody wants, and train them to be a service dog. They're like, ha-ha, we can, and we did. And they get them to the people who need them most, our veterans, first responders, and their families. But it's not cheap, and it's not easy. They need your help. Little service with a smile here, kids. Looking for your extra car, truck, RV, even a boat. Looking for your vehicle or change. This is what it's all about. They even take cash. You're going to get an amazing tax-deductible gift, and what you're going to be doing is saving a paw to save a life. It is incredible. Check it out for yourself. See the amazing work they're doing with our veterans, our first responders, and their families, and these amazing animals. Check it out for yourself at woundedpawproject.org, woundedpawproject.org, or call 844-678-4PAW. That's 844-678-4729, or woundedpawproject.org. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Set Chad straight. Text the show, 323-538-2423. That's 323-538-CHAD. Someone has to do it. Might as well be you. The Chad Benson Show.
Phil, I'm totally offended by the set Chad straight thing because, of course, straight is one of those words that on certain college campuses can't be used because it means if you use the word straight, that somehow people who are gay will be crooked, is what they said, or not right. I'm so confused anymore. Right? Like if I was a chameleon of political correctness at some point in time, you would be so confused, you would just explode. Controversy, at least somebody's trying to create some, over the movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Tarantino's biggest movie opening this past weekend, starring DiCaprio and Brad Pitt, amongst many, many others. And the controversies about one person who's not even alive.
My hands are registered as lethal weapons. We get into a fight, I accidentally kill you. I go to jail.
Anybody accidentally kills anybody in a fight, they go to jail. It's called manslaughter.
Yeah, Bruce Lee's daughter has come out and said that she doesn't like the way that Tarantino depicted her father as an arrogant a-hole who is full of hot air. In the movie, there's a big fight scene between Brad Pitt, who's a stuntman, Cliff Booth, and Bruce Lee. And it's a best of 2 or 3 rounds. And she talked about the fact that how Asian Americans were treated in the 60s in Hollywood. And it was apparently she's not a fan of it. Just take a deep breath. I got to see it. I want to see it. It's one of the few. I'm like, I really want to see this. And it looks like a very interesting movie, but I understand. I mean, it's your dad, right? Like there's certain ways you want your dad portrayed, and he was a cocky dude. I mean, man, you go look at Bruce Lee's life. That guy was really confident and really cocky, and the way that he went, right, going down to Long Beach and doing what he did down there with his 1-inch punch and doing his push-ups with one finger and all that stuff and getting in everybody's face. And he had to make that kind of noise in that day and age. Everybody loves Bruce. Everybody does. What'd he be worth today on the open market in the world of movies? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tonight, the battle begins. Second debate, night number 1. Who's coming loaded for bear? By the way, that term, loaded for bear, your useless fact of the day, that was back in the day when people would actually have to load their guns in a certain way, and they would ask you, how are you shooting? What do you have in there? And they'd say, I'm loaded for bear, just in case there was a bear. It had enough stopping power, if you will, for bear. Will we get that tonight? Who knows? Have a great rest of your day. We'll do it again tomorrow, as always. Night, night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.